Hello, I'm Walt Bylciw. September 7th, 1997 was a glorious day. The operational version of our F-119 engine flew for the first time in the new F-22 Raptor. A number of you have spent much of your career perfecting this remarkable engine since the program began over a decade and a half ago as the PW5000. That effort has paid off. With our teammates at Lockheed Martin, Boeing, the Air Force, and our suppliers, you've left a wonderful legacy. The F-22 will ensure America's air dominance and freedom for decades to come. We also recognize that your families have made a tremendous contribution with their support, patience, and understanding during long days, months, and years of critical development. As part of our Family Day celebration, I want to carry out our theme of pausing to say thanks. I also want to personally extend my gratitude to all of you. To remember this year of accomplishment, I'd like to share 2 short videos with you and your families. The first depicts the Raptor's maiden flight and captures the spirit and excitement that we felt as we watched Raptor 001 take us into a new era of aircraft capability. It was a truly magnificent sight. The second video, also a record of that first flight, is narrated by Paul Metz, the test pilot who actually flew the Raptor. It provides a first-hand account of what it was like to be there. On behalf of the rest of your team here at Pratt Whitney, enjoy this small token to help us remember our successes as we look forward to the exciting challenges of the future. You've been terrific. Thank you.
On behalf of the 6,000 or so people that are on the prime team and the 3,000 or so companies that support that prime team, this is a huge event for the program, and we're awfully proud of everybody that's put all the time and energy into getting us to this point. So good luck and Godspeed. We're all with you, Paul, and it's going to be a great day.
When we're ready to taxi, I'll tell you that Raptor 22 is ready to taxi. When I'm ready to go, I'll call Raptor 22 flight button 4 go, check in on the tower frequency. We'll get clearance on for the unrestricted climb and the airborne pickup, and I'll ask for a left turn out for the airborne pickup.
Okay, control, I'm ready for engine start.
Roger, here we go.
Starting the right engine. Okay, Larry, here we go on the right. Dobbins ground, Raptor 22, flight of 3, F-22 from spot 53 on the south side. Raptor 06 and 19, the F-16s from the guard ramp. Taxi. Am I cleared to go? You are clear. Power's coming on. It's right on up here. Everything looks good passing 14. And it's very smooth, very nice. Passing 15, we'll start to nose over and power back. Start to maneuver anytime slows down. much better now. Control, we'll go ahead and do the simulated approach on the way down here. We're back on the ground.
And we confirm that here in the control room.
The briefing started about 2 hours before the flight takeoff time. All the mission control people that would actually conduct the test, as well as the maintenance, the test pilots, the chase pilots, were part of that briefing. The 2 hours covered every aspect of the flight, not only the details of what would be done, but the details of the airplane and its condition. In the meantime, the maintenance people had been pre-flighting the airplane for the past 12 hours, getting it ready for flight. And once it was ready, I went out to the airplane along with my crew chief and support personnel and waited for the final walk-around inspection of the airplane. There are several people that are key to getting a plane ready, but for me, the most important person is the crew chief, Larry Simpson, shown here. When Larry finally tells me the airplane's ready to go, then I know we're actually going to fly the airplane. I wait until the last few minutes, and then Larry and I take the time to walk around and take a look at the airplane together. That last inspection's a chance to touch and feel and get a sense of how the airplane is for the day, and talk with Larry about the final procedures we'll go through before we launch. Once I'm satisfied with it, climb aboard and get ready to start the engines. The airplane's actually very simple to operate. It only takes a few switches to get it started. And once we get it started, we have to go through a number of checks with the airplane to get it ready for flight. Once we get the engines up and operating and get a few of the checks out of the way, it's time to taxi. The airplane is very conventional in the ground handling portion of the flight. The nose wheel steering is two-position, high gain and low gain, just like an F-15, but the brakes are fly-by-wire. There is no physical connection between the pilot and the brakes, very similar to the flight controls. And the brakes turn out to be very responsive and very powerful on the airplane, and we've tested it a number of times on the ground. Once we get out on the runway, I'm joined by my primary chase pilot and my photo chase pilot. On the right, my primary chase pilot, John Beasley, is given the signal to launch. He pushes the power up and begins his takeoff roll. John will lift off and pull the airplane up to a downwind position where he gets ready to do what's called an airborne pickup. With a final salute, I send off Lieutenant Colonel Steve Rainey in the backup chase and primary photo chase aircraft. He will get airborne and join with John as they come around behind me to call my release brake signal. I go through some final flight control checks. Here you can see the nozzles moving with the flight controls. The vectoring is an integral part of the flight controls of the airplane. I'm standing by for that final call from John. He'll give me a 30-second call from his position here, which alerts me to get ready for launch. At 10 seconds, I'll push the power up on the airplane. At John's call to release brakes now, the power comes up and I start the takeoff roll. Initially, little heading corrections on the nose wheel steering reflect fairly large motions in the rudders, and that's absolutely normal. 110 knots, I start to stick back very slightly to see that the nose will come up, and at 140, continue the rotation on up to about 12 degrees of pitch attitude for the liftoff. Once I'm airborne, one of the first things I do is put a little wiggle in the wings right there to make sure that my ailerons are correctly hooked up. I begin a shallow climb out to about 210 knots and then start a fairly vigorous pull up to 20 degrees of pitch attitude. The chase airplane comes aboard, but he's struggling at this point to stay up with me. The airplane has a lot of power, and even with the landing gear down, it climbs out very steeply. The photo chase comes aboard on the left side, and we begin to climb on up to 15,000 feet. The airplane's a very solid feeling machine all the way up. And once we get on conditions at 15,000 feet, we take a look at some very simple handling qualities tasks. The chase airplane's very close to me the whole time, watching for condition of my airplane and make sure that if anything goes wrong, he can assist me. We also took a look at the engines, and this is a real high point of the airplane. Pratt Whitney's done a fantastic job with the engines. They operate very, very smoothly with almost no vibration. You can tell no difference between idle and military power. We also took a look at the roll characteristics of the airplane with small 30 to 30 degree bank angle changes. The airplane's actually very snappy for a fighter of this size. It's more like an F-16 in quickness and agility. Here we're seeing some control motions with the rudder. Again, just relatively gentle maneuvers to see that the airplane responds just as we predicted in the simulations, and it did. Some more bank-to-bank rolls, and once we've finished up the tasks at 15,000 feet from speeds from 240 down to about 148 knots, we will bring the gear up and take a look at the characteristics of the airplane and what we call a clean configuration. Landing gear comes up, and once it does, the airplane is very, very smooth. There's absolutely no buffet, and characteristics are excellent. Again, with the gear up, we'll look at some of those relatively mild handling qualities characteristics, such as bank-to-bank rolls, and some of the control inputs. Here you'll see bank-to-bank rolls with partial and full stick. And again, the airplane is very quick, very cat-like and agile in the response. Here's a partial stick input followed by a full stick input. This is about 225 knots, about 0.5 Mach, and we're at 20,000 feet for these maneuvers. Here's formation, one of the real delights of the airplane. It's very stable, and we use the cameraman as a director in this case to help me make relatively rapid and quick changes in position while flying the wing of the F-16 here. Gave us an excellent opportunity to evaluate the what we call high gain or high pilot workload tasks such as formation and make sure that it had good handling qualities. And it does. The airplane can be repositioned quickly and accurately on the wing. And here I'm following some hand motions of the cameraman to make these position changes. Thrust response is excellent under these conditions. The maneuverability is very good, and your confidence in the airplane builds up rapidly. I've only been on the wing here just about 2 minutes, and already I'm feeling very comfortable moving in and out fairly rapidly on the lead airplane. We maneuvered in this clean configuration with the gear up for about 5 to 10 minutes. We maneuvered from 20,000 feet down to 15,000 feet and did a number of maneuvers such as gentle bank angles and dives and climbs with the F-16 leading. Once we completed that, we put the landing gear back down and took a look at the handling qualities while I flew formation with the landing gear down. This is an area where a lot of airplanes become a little bit less responsive and a little bit poor handling qualities because of the slower speeds. But the F-22 remained had that same positive, solid sense about it I saw with the landing gear up. Here you see me in formation on the wing, again making the small corrections as directed by the photographer in the back seat of the F-16. Once we completed the gear up and gear down flying qualities, we brought the airplane back for landing. Down at the lower altitudes, again, excellent handling qualities. From about 4 miles out, we set up for a straight-in approach. The handling characteristics are quite conventional in the gear down of what we call power approach phase of flight. You can see that photo chase and the safety chase airplanes tucked in here real tight as we come around the turn, giving me one last final check on the landing gear and the condition of the airplane. Coming in close to final, the airplane floats very nicely, can be flared, and touches down very softly. Once on the ground, we hold the nose up for aero braking to bleed off some airspeed. I deployed the speed brakes just as the nose came down for touchdown. That also helps dissipate the airspeed. And then applied the brakes with about 5,000 feet remaining and brought the airplane down to fairly slow speeds to complete the rollout to the end of the runway. Handling characteristics in the landing phase are really a delight. It'll make any pilot feel proud to bring the airplane back and land it. It's a very easy airplane to land. Once on the ground and having a check from the crew chief to make sure everything is okay, we taxi back in front of the crowd to let them take a close look at the airplane. These are the folks that are really responsible for getting me in the air. And there are thousands of people not only in Marietta, but Seattle, Fort Worth, Pratt Whitney, and the suppliers around the United States and in fact around the world that struggled for a long time to put this airplane together. We had a very successful, extremely successful first flight. Responsibility lies in those people to make that happen, and they did. After taking its bow, the Raptor came back to the nest and was parked by the crew chief. And once the engines were shut down, it was time to get out of the machine and meet the final ritual as part of a first flight. These folks are not here to fight a fire, but rather to give me ritual dousing as part of the conclusion of this first flight. And I must say they did a good job.
In keeping with our theme, pausing to say thanks, please consider this your personal invitation to attend our Family Day. This wonderful event will take place at Pratt & Whitney's Florida facility on Saturday, November 15th from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. We sincerely hope your entire family will attend. It won't be the same without you.